And I think like when your dream is so big, when you have something, it's hard to give up. Like you get to the point that you're capable of risking more for just a dream, which is something that a normal person would not understand. I still ask myself now, like, why didn't I give up at that time? Why did I keep doing this? Why did I take those risks? Because there was a moment that even now I think about it, I'm like, that was stupid. It was like a death sentence.
There's no difference between responsibility and adventure. That's a killer thing to know. The heavier the responsibility, the more profound the adventure. And so everyone knows that, but it's not catalyzed, eh? And so I've been suggesting to young men in particular, it's like, you want to get your life together? Take the path of maximal responsibility. Not because you should, even though you should. That's not why. It's because that's the pathway of maximal adventure. So you say, well, what's the meaning of life? It's like, it's the meaning that reveals itself when you take the pathway of maximal responsibility.
To change, to try something new. Keep your mind open and fluid and flexible. Be willing to accept feedback from your environment and correct your course. This is a key quality of peak performers. They're not rigid, they're flexible. Remember, it's not what you have, but what you do with what you have that separates winners from losers. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you that counts. In the final analysis, your response to the adversity of life is the real measure of who you are and what you're made of. The Greek philosopher Epictetus once said that circumstances do not make the man or woman, they merely reveal him to himself. Nobody does it alone. When life is over, it will be the people that we lived and laughed and loved with that we remember more than anything else. So don't be afraid to ask for help from others. It's a mark of strength, courage, and character. And don't be reluctant to give of yourself to others generously. It's the mark of caring and compassion and personal greatness.
You can't have an easy life and a great character. Show me a trust fund kid that inherited a bunch of money, and I'll show you someone mentally tortured. Having stuff isn't fun. Getting stuff is fun, right? It's not the pursuit of happiness. It's the happiness of the pursuit, right? It's that thing, and it's not like, the self-help, it's not the journey, it's the destination. It's not either the journey or the destination. It's who you become on the journey. And here's the terrible thing about life. It's self-assignment.
You need to learn to let go and live with a heart filled with love. You need to be content with yourself. Because if you're obsessed with trying to hate on another person, the poison's inside of you, it's not inside of me. It doesn't affect me as much as it affects you. You can't feel hatred for somebody without it affecting your mood.
Actually don't have any hope or any freedom from anxiety without a vision for your future. A vision for your future is the structure that provides you with hope and that regulates your negative emotion. Because it specifies a goal. Eh? Once a goal is specified, you feel positive emotion in relationship to the goal. And your anxiety is constrained because you have a direction. You're anxious when you have way too many directions. That's why you get anxious if your car breaks down. It's like, what do I do now? Too many pathways. You want the pathways through life collapsed to a single implementable dimension, one that goes uphill. And then when you walk uphill, so to speak, each step that you see yourself making is indexed by positive emotion, hope, enthusiasm, meaning.
To have someone believe in us, to have one person see a spark in us, helps us recognize that it helps us see the spark in ourselves. I think it takes only one person, whether it's a friend or a coach or a parent, a boss sometimes, who takes a liking to us. And almost all of us can remember one person in our lives where it's a coach or a teacher who took us under their wing and saw something that we didn't see. And every single successful person on the planet has that person. But I think most of us do. Most of us have somebody who saw something in us, and we are who we are in part because of that person.
This is a hard world. Don't nobody give you nothing. You have to work for it, right?
Right.
So I'm blessed to be able to beat up everybody. So I want to beat up everybody until I can't beat them no more. If I can go 10 more years, I'm going to keep on doing it.
The same way you want the victory, they want the victory. I want what all other men want. He said, but when the pressure hits, when the opposition hits, When the challenge hits, when the pain creeps in, when the uncertainty creeps in, when the cuts, when the scars, when the bruises come, I want what all other men want. He said, but when the opposition and adversity shows up, I just wanted a little bit more than they wanted.
Be your age. Be your age, and just embrace the process. And don't look for what you are supposed to be fully, completely polished, sharpened, edged, tempered at 26 or 36, at 46. You've got a lot more forge time left. You've got a lot more hammer blows left, and it takes time. But if you will patiently embrace the process, then by the time you get up in years, you can be a man that you're proud of.
Well, sometimes that's what a person needs. Something that they can dedicate themselves towards, because they don't feel like they have anything and there's no direction. They don't know what to do, and that old expression, idle hands at the devil's playground, that's real.
That's real.
That's real.
That's very real.
Yeah. If you don't have a purpose in life, you don't have a direction that you feel like you should be going in, you feel so lost. And you can get sucked into all kinds of things. And you're filled with anxiety, and so then you escape with drugs. You're trying to find something to make you feel better because you just don't feel good and you feel like a loser. The only thing that makes you feel good is accomplishing things. Having a family, having loved ones, having friends, having a community. But accomplishing things too. Those are the only things that make you feel better in life.
How do you overcome fear of failure, or fear of success, or fear of fear itself? You step. And how do you face the fear of the unknown? You step. Don't wait anymore. Don't think anymore. Don't plan anymore. Don't contemplate anymore. Don't make any more excuses or justifications. Don't rationalize anything else. No, no, and no. Instead, be aggressive. Take action now. And what is the first action that you need to take? What's the first step you need to take? The first step you need to take is just that. Step.
You got to be careful when you got talent, because sooner or later, if you're not careful, you can become a victim of your own talent. And when you become a victim of your own talent, you don't value the small things anymore. And at a certain point in the early years, the small things were the foundation. And this is the thing that got you to the point that you are at now. But now we don't value it because we feel as if we've gotten to a certain point. Like adversity is adversity, opposition is opposition, challenges are challenges. But it's not so much about the opposition and the adversity that we face as it is about the perspective that we have about the opposition and the adversity that we face. Meaning perspective drives performance every day of the week. How you view what you do will always affect how you do what you do.
I don't know how to build a dam. I don't know how to get 1 million people involved in anything. Well, let me tell you a secret. No one does when they begin. Ideas don't come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started. If I had to know everything about connecting people before I got started, I never would have built Facebook. Movies and pop culture just get this all wrong. The idea of a single eureka moment is a dangerous lie. It makes us feel inadequate because we feel like we haven't had ours yet. And it prevents people with seeds of good ideas from ever getting started in the first place.
There's a moment when every boy realizes no one's coming to save him. And that's when he becomes a man. And some boys never get there and stay children forever.
What would you do if you just learned today that you only had 6 months to live? What if you only had 6 months to live? What would you stop doing? What would you do more of? Who would you spend time with? Now, the answer to that question is very interesting because what it tells you is what you really value. What is really important to you? And what we have found is that self-esteem, satisfaction, happiness in life comes from getting your goals and your activities congruent with your values, with your priorities, with what you consider to be really important.
Man, who are you when it goes south, man? Not when you get what you want. We know when the sun's shining and you get what you want, you gonna smile. Right. Babies do that. I give them a bottle, they gonna smile. I give them what they want, they gonna smile. I give a puppy a snack, he gonna smile. But when you don't get what you want, when it doesn't go the way you want it to, even if it affects and impacts you on a physical level, who are you? Right? Because that's the person that your kids are gonna learn from. That's the person that your parents raised. That's the person that will go out and either positively or negatively affect and impact the world. Who are you?
You're lazy. You know exactly what to do. Exactly what to do. Because even me, in my state of, I can't read and write, I knew exactly what to do. It just sucks doing it. It sucks to do it. It sucks to wake up every morning of your life and say, God, man, I'm not smart. And do it again, do it again, do it again. It's not just there. It's not just there permanently for me.
True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one.
I also think that God is pleased with you when you show him the beauty of his creation. I think that God is pleased with you when you work as hard as you possibly can and you do the best you can in anything you're going to attempt. God loves people who work hard and try hard. And in my own personal life, I can see that God is very happy with me when I give it 100%. And very few people give anything 100% anymore. It's very rare you meet somebody and if they're honest with themselves and with you and with God, say, I gave it everything I had. They gave it some, they tried a bit, they got demotivated, they got distracted, they got tempted. But when you truly give your 100% to something, I think that makes God very happy with you. And I think he rewards us for that. I think that you have to live, there's a lot of practical advice I can give. In terms of the religious sense, I would say you need to live like God is always watching. You may have the opportunity to do something bad, or you may have the opportunity to steal some money or snake somebody, but in the end, you're going to pay for that, and the bill will be paid. I think if you do the right thing, in my experience, if you're a person who does the right thing, firm handshake, is on time, doesn't lie to anybody, does what he's supposed to do, is honest with a good heart, is genuinely polite to everyone he meets. If you are that person, you get very far in life. I've yet to meet people who just do all the simple things right, who completely fail at life.
What if? A lot of times I'll be in a 200-mile run or something like that, and I'm all jacked up. Body's broken, mind's broken, spirit's broken. I start to say, what if I can pull this off? When I first walked into the Navy SEAL recruiter's office, he looked at me and said, there's only been 35 African Americans in 70 years make it through. You know what I said to myself? What if I can be the 36th? It's the what if I can pull off a miracle. What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be? And just me talking about that, I have the hair going up on my arms because it makes me just like, what if?
One way to increase the probability that things will unfold for you properly is to not lie. Just stop lying. Period. Stop saying things you believe to be untrue. Stop doing things you know to be wrong. Just start with that. You'll get closer and closer to the truth, and the truth is the adventure of life. That's the advantage to the truth. You have the world on your side. But obviously, because if you're lying about things, you're opposing reality. Who are you? Who are you to oppose reality? Good luck.
What has been a lesson you wish you learned earlier in life?
Being unapologetically honest with what you want. And that goes across the board. I was trying to think of something that kind of crossed the board. If you can communicate your truth and not worry so much about how somebody's going to react to what you say. Because a lot of times the fear of how somebody's going to react to what you really want to say is what stops you from saying it sometimes, and you find another way, or you put it off, or you don't say it, and then maybe the situation doesn't change, and you get frustrated and upset with why this thing doesn't change, because you kind of maybe might not have said it the way you wanted to say it, and I think there's a way to be unapologetically and still be respectful.
One of the most important things, never ever quit. Never quit. I don't know if it's an ability or if you have it, just you can't quit. And I've seen people quitting. And if they would have held out longer, they would have been successful. I've seen it so much. I've seen some of the most brilliant people in the world that never made it because they were quitters. They were just quitters. They would quit. They just couldn't take it. They couldn't whatever. One of the things about loving what you do is that it's not work, and therefore you don't quit automatically. It's a lot easier not to quit. But you can never give up. Now, you have to also have flexibility, though. You can't necessarily say, I'm never giving up, and you got to be able to weave and bob. You don't have to go through a concrete wall when you can go over it or around it or under it or something. You have to have flexibility. You have to always be able to change course a little bit, maybe always with that same goal, but don't quit.
The path of least resistance never makes you happy. It's like, you have to push yourself. When people talk about self-esteem, I hate this term. Like, so many kids were taught to get a participation trophy for something, and they thought, I'm gonna build their self-esteem this way. People can tell you your whole life you're a piece of crap, and your brain can go, screw you, I'll show you, and you become somebody. People your whole life can tell you you're beautiful, you're perfect, you're the best, and you can still not believe them and be depressed about your life and think you're nobody. Your life self-esteem, your self-esteem, esteem for yourself is earned by you doing something difficult for you.
I say chase your dreams, man. Do that thing, man, that keeps you up at night. That thing that bothers you, man, that makes you trip. You can't quit thinking about it. You always, that thing, man, that you wake up in the middle of the night, you got a new idea. That's what you got to chase. Because anything else, it's gonna disappoint you. You're gonna forever be sad, man. If you don't chase that dream, you're gonna forever be miserable, man.
I had this childhood, you cannot make it, you're not good enough, you're not accepted. And that for me, it burns. It burns. Because I go against all of those things. And I will demonstrate and I will show you. I always have this saying, why be normal when you can be the best? So when I do my things, I don't wanna be normal. For me, normal, it doesn't exist. I want to make the difference. And when you make the difference, you're being the best. And I'm not the guy who will go out and say, you will see. Because one thing is you talk and one thing you show. Because I prefer to work in silence, but I will perform in violence. That is my approach. And when I perform, I will show you.
There's a saying, there's a quote that I really believe in, that when the pain of the current reality becomes greater than the fear of change, that's when we change. So like when the pain becomes so intense that it's greater than the fear that you have of the unknown, then you'll go into the unknown. You can stand there at the door looking at this abyss, but when it becomes so fucking painful that you walk into that, that's when the change happens.
Act like the person you want to become. That's not fake it till you make it, by the way. This is intentional. Intentionally act like the person you want to become. Because when you intentionally act like the person you want to become, your brain sees you taking those actions, so your brain starts to change the way it relates to you. When your brain sees you high-fiving yourself in the mirror, it starts to go, oh, wait a minute, Steven loves himself. Steven's cheering for himself. We don't beat Steven up.
Good times create weak people. Weak people create bad times. Bad times create strong people. Strong people create good times.
The only place to go from failure is to win. You have to achieve failure. You have to take it that far. Nobody wants to go that far. It's too scary. But you know something? I got news for you. That's where winning is.
Everything worthwhile is uphill. And today's word is uphill. You see, every dream that you've ever had, it's all uphill. If you have a great relationship with somebody, you had to work on it. It's uphill. If you've built a wonderful business, guess what? It was uphill. If you've made the right decisions, they're not easy, are they? It's uphill. And the only way that you can go uphill is to be intentional. Nobody ever accidentally went uphill. You've never talked to a successful person and said, how did you get to the top of the mountain? And then look at you and say, I have no idea. If they're at the top of the mountain, they know how they got there. because they had to have effort. It took energy. It took time. Everything worthwhile is uphill.
No one is born with self-confidence. Zero, right? Every single one of us, our self-confidence was determined by how we were raised, the parents we had, the teachers we had, the bosses we've had, the jobs we've had. And so if somebody's insecure, we have to over and over and over again prove to them, because we don't know where they came from. We don't know what kind of trouble they got in before, for being honest, right? Or how they were raised. We don't know. And so we have to have total empathy and just prove to them that if they make a mistake, they're gonna get helped, not hurt. They're gonna get supported, not yelled at.
The biggest mistake a person can do right now, no matter in which situation you are, is to give up. You might not reach the best version of yourself in this lifetime, but a better one than you are right now. The main point is to find something that you are not standing still where you are right now. At least prepare yourself slowly, step by step, to get out of that hole right now.
If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. And he said, it'll all change for you.
That most men live lives of quiet desperation. It's one of my favorite quotes ever, because it's true. And I've been that guy. You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away. The only way I could be this person now is if I took that chance when I was 21, when I was dead broke and had my cars repossessed and all that stuff. That's the only way you ever get where you want to go. You have to take a path that's dangerous, and most people want to take the safe path. And the safe path leaves you stuck in quiet desperation almost every time.
You do not need them to believe in you. You do not need your friends to tell you you're great. All you have to do is go become great, and they will recognize it. Like, you don't need permission, motherfuckers. It's hard. It's not easy. Every day you wake up, you're gonna have shit go wrong. Every day you wake up, you're gonna have bad things happen. How you need to look at this as a test. It's a test. Do you pass the test or do you not pass the test? You need to, when you have a bad day, bro, you wake up and everything's going wrong. That's called life. That's not even hard shit, bro. What are you gonna do when hard shit happens? You're talking about life. That's life. There's gonna be distractions. Your job is to discipline yourself to a point where these distractions don't pull you off track, or you're able to manage them.
I don't know what your future is, but if you're willing to take the harder way, the more complicated one, the one with more failures at first than successes, the one that has ultimately proven to have more meaning, more victory, more glory, then you will not regret it.
You got to be hungry, man. I mean, I know how I felt going. I know how I felt aspiring to be something before anybody ever knew. You know, I know what it felt like to be in the gym by myself when nobody cared, you know, and I wanted to be successful so bad. I wanted to be a basketball player so bad. Every part of me, you know, was going to put everything into that.
It's never going to go your way. It's never going to be easy. There are always going to be things that break. There are always going to be things that go wrong. And your job is to get through this regardless of what comes your way. And the best perspective that you can take is to look at it like a test.